So philosophers really like to do thought experiments where they make up some hypothetical situation to prove why a certain assertion they've made about the real world is true. Um, and I kind of wanted to do something like that, though it's not really a thought experiment, it's more of a life experiment. Because the experiment I wanted to run was asking the question, who am I? Um, because we usually don't ask that question as an experiment. We ask it as a thought experiment. We don't ask it as a life experiment. We ask it as a thought experiment. And so we don't, not only do we not take the answers to it seriously, or the lack of an answer, but we sort of laugh it off as though even asking the question is somehow foolish. And it's kind of strange how the fool and the wise man are so often mistaken. But if we do run this as a life experiment and we ask, who am I? What do we find? Because we're asking about an experience. We're asking about right now, who am I? How can I ask that question? Am I asking that question? Is there an asker of any question? Is there a traveler of any path? Because, this I, all that it means to be an I is to be separate. And you'd think if it was separate, that it would be easy to spot amongst all this unity. A separate entity would stick out, you would think. But when we ask, who am I, as an experiment, as an inquiry into our own experience, we don't seem to be able to find it. Me. I can't find myself. I can only be myself. I can only express myself. I can't hide from anything, from anybody. There's no inside of me. There's no outside of me. Me is the universal subject and the universal object. There's no that. Thou art that. It's all you. You're it. So, I exist, and yet I don't. Because the question is asked by someone who doesn't exist. And that is what we are.